At Hillcrest Home for the Elderly, days bled into one another like watercolors in the rain. The scent of antiseptic hung in the air, softened only by the faint hint of lavender from the weekly mop-down. Nurses moved quietly. Residents shuffled down carpeted halls in slow motion, and the ticking of the hallway clock became a kind of background music to the monotony. Mara Thompson had been a nurse there for 3 years, 29, sharp-eyed, and kind without being naive. She had grown used to the small rituals of the place. Morning meds, meal calls, the occasional outburst, the silence that followed when a room was suddenly vacant. But what she hadn't grown used to was the man on the bench. Every morning, at precisely 8:15, he would appear, dressed in a worn grey coat and a black cap that looked older than the building itself. He sat on the bench just outside room 304, always the same spot, always the same silence. Mara had never seen him arrive or leave. No one had. He wasn't on any list. No visitor badge. No records. She even asked Linda at the front desk, who remembered birthdays better than Google Calendar, and she simply shrugged. "I don't think he ever signs in," Linda had said, frowning. "But he's harmless, right? Just sits there, maybe waiting for someone." Waiting. That word stayed with Mara longer than she expected. Room 304 had been locked since Mara started working there. The door was shut tight, the nameplate blank. Maintenance said it was under renovation, but no one ever went in or out. No paint buckets, no tools, just silence. One morning, curiosity got the better of her. She passed by with a clipboard she didn't need, slowed her pace and glanced his way. He didn't move. His eyes were fixed on the door, not blinking, as if watching something only he could see. "Good morning," Mara said lightly, stopping beside him. He didn't answer, just nodded, once. There was something about the stillness in him, not fragile, like the residents inside, but grounded, like an old tree, silent, unmoving, but filled with stories no one had asked to hear. Mara smiled politely and continued walking, but something inside her had shifted. The man on the bench wasn't just waiting. He was remembering, and maybe guarding a secret. The next morning, Mara arrived a few minutes early. She didn't know why. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe it wasn't. As expected, he was already there. Same bench, same coat, same empty stare at room 304. Like the door held gravity only he could feel. She hesitated, then walked straight toward him this time. Clipboard gone. Pretenses dropped. "Mind if I sit?" He looked at her, not startled, not welcoming, just aware. After a beat, he gave a small nod. She sat beside him, leaving a respectful distance between them. The silence between them stretched thin, almost buzzing. "That room's been locked for as long as I've worked here," she said softly, testing the water. He didn't answer. "I've asked about it. Maintenance says it's under renovation, but no one goes in or out. No tools, no lights, no noise." Still nothing. Just the quiet ticking of the hallway clock. She turned slightly, watching him. "You come here every morning, at the same time. You never miss a day." He finally moved, barely. His hand reached into the pocket of his coat, pulling out something small and folded. He held it out to her, a photograph. She took it carefully. It was old and faded, a young woman with soft eyes and a kind smile, seated on what looked like this very bench. Her hands rested gently on her lap. The photo was creased, worn from being opened and closed 1,000 times. "She used to sit here," he said, his voice low and rough, like a door hinge that hadn't moved in years. "Every morning, before her treatments." Mara blinked. It was the first time she had heard him speak. Was she in room 304? He nodded, slowly. "She hated hospitals," he said, "but she loved this bench. Said it made her feel like she still had a choice." Mara swallowed. "Is she still here?" The man didn't answer, just looked at the door, his jaw tight. A silence too heavy to carry followed. When she handed the photo back, he didn't take it. "She wanted to be remembered here," he murmured. "Not in a grave, not in a file." Mara looked at the door again. It felt different now, like it knew someone was talking about it. The man rose, slowly, as though pulled up by invisible strings. "I'll see you tomorrow," he said. And with that he walked away, leaving Mara alone with a memory that wasn't hers, but suddenly felt like it was. Mara couldn't stop thinking about the photo. All day, it lived in the back of her mind, like a song stuck on repeat. The woman's face, her soft smile, the way the man had spoken of her, not with grief, but with reverence, like someone speaking about a sacred place. That night, Mara stayed late. She stood in front of room 304 long, after the lights dimmed in the halls. The door looked the same, cold, silent, sealed like a tomb. But now, it pulsed with meaning. She reached out and placed her hand on the doorknob. Locked, of course. She leaned her forehead gently against the door, whispering more to herself than anyone else. "Who were you?" Behind her, the hallway was still. No footsteps, no sounds. The next morning, he was already there, as always. Mara didn't hesitate this time. She sat beside him without a word. He didn't look at her, but she felt the quiet acknowledgement in the way he shifted slightly to make space. "I dreamed about her," she said. His eyes remained on the door. "She had a scarf," Mara continued, her voice barely audible. "Yellow." And she laughed, not loud, but real. The man's eyes closed slowly. "She loved that scarf," he said. "Wore it even in July. Said it reminded her of sunlight when the world felt cold." They sat in silence again, but it felt different this time. Shared. Mara glanced at him. "What was her name?" He took a deep breath, as if drawing it up from the depths of memory. "Eleanor," he said, "and everyone called her Ellie." Mara smiled gently. "She sounds lovely." "She was," he said, voice cracking. 47 years together. Then the cancer came. Quick, cruel. "She passed away in that room?" Mara asked softly. He nodded, but she never really left. A shiver ran down Mara's spine. He looked at her then, for the first time, really looked. "I know what this must sound like," he said. "A lonely old man stuck in the past." "No," Mara whispered. "It doesn't sound like that at all." He handed her something. A small silver key. Her breath caught. "It's yours," he said. She wanted someone kind to have it. Mara stared at it in her palm. "Why me?" "Because you see people," he said. "Not just names on charts. You saw her, even when no one else remembered she was here." The days that followed were strange. Mara held the small and silver key in her pocket, a constant reminder of the man, the woman, and the mystery of room 304. The door still remained locked. The hallway still smelled of antiseptic. But everything felt different now, heavier, like she was carrying something too important to forget. Each morning, she would pass by the bench. He was always there, sitting quietly, looking at the door. No words were exchanged anymore, but there was an understanding between them. The photo of Eleanor was never shown again, but Mara knew now. She knew who he was. She knew what he had lost. Then, one morning, Mara arrived early again, as she had done before. But when she reached the bench, he wasn't there. The bench was empty. Her heart sank. She looked down the hall, but there was no sign of him. She felt the familiar pull toward room 304. Without thinking, she took the key from her pocket and stood before the door. Her hand hovered over the doorknob, her pulse quickening. Click. The door opened. It was just as she had imagined it. The room was small, quiet, and bathed in a soft, golden light that filtered through the window. The bed was neatly made with a vase of flowers on the nightstand. Everything was exactly how it had been when Eleanor was alive. Only now, it felt empty. Mara stepped inside, her heart heavy, but filled with something else too. A sense of peace, a sense of completion. There, in the corner of the room, on a small wooden table, was a picture frame. Inside, the same photo, the one the man had shown her. Eleanor, smiling on the bench. She was beautiful. Mara took the frame carefully, her fingers brushing over the glass. She knew she wasn't just there to remember Eleanor. She was there to remember the love that had been given, the sacrifice, and the quiet strength of someone who never truly left. As she turned to leave, she saw something on the table, a note, folded neatly, with her name written on it in elegant handwriting. Mara, thank you for seeing her. Thank you for hearing our story. With all my love, David. Mara stood there for a moment, the weight of the note sinking in. She didn't need to open it to know that it was a final goodbye. She stepped out of the room, the door closing gently behind her. The bench, too, would be empty for the last time. But Mara knew now that it wasn't just a place for waiting. It was a place for remembering, for honoring the quiet moments in life that often go unnoticed. And as she walked down the hallway, a sense of peace settled in her heart. She had witnessed something rare, something that would stay with her forever. The love of a lifetime, carried through the years in the simplest of ways.